We have a problem.
Penetrating the United States.
I thought it was safe.
Your future has arrived.
So are you gonna be Chris Wallace? Is that what's going on?
Yeah, I can be Chris Wallace.
Okay, good.
There we go. And I'll do the moderating.
Yeah, but you also have to yell at us the whole time,
Right.
all right?
So I was gonna say
Make sure you just scream at us.
I'm a bad moderator because I have an opinion, so I'll have something to say. Hey.
Hey, Asher.
All right. So let's do this before we go to bed. I'm the moderator and you guys are the debaters. So let's see. My first question is for Ray.
Uh-huh.
Who won the election?
Oh my goodness, you're really gonna start the in my opinion, we don't know completely, even though Joe Biden is president-elect. But honestly, I think Trump won. That's just me. I think Trump won. Because there's been a lot of stuff. There's been a lot of things going on, and you even said with the 80 burnt ballots, you said that could have been a coincidence. But I mean, what coincidence? It got on fire. Like, there's not a lot of coincidence towards that. Like, and even if they were sample ballots, why would they be burning them? That's like walking into a bank, turning off the lights, and then saying, "Oh, I'm coming to deposit a check," instead of robbing it. So.
Okay.
That's just me.
So you think that Trump won and that ballots were wrongly counted or assigned to others? Is that what you're saying?
Mm-hmm.
What about you,
Yes.
Asher?
I think Biden won
And why do you think that?
because all the votes say he won.
So there's talk about these voting machines having a software problem that votes for Trump actually went to Biden, right?
Mm-hmm. At least that's what I've heard of. Mm-hmm.
Hundreds of thousands of votes that if they were taken out, then Trump would have won. That is one of the lawsuits that actually was thrown out. So even though there were lawsuits that were thrown out, Ray, you still believe that is the case, even though there has been no proof for it, and the judge has said there is no proof. I cannot, continue with this lawsuit.
Well, there's plenty of proof. I mean, even my friend, his grandfather, who's dead, there was a voter or someone went out and voted under his name, and he was dead, and he's a Republican, and he was a Trump fan, and he didn't vote. He died years ago, and it was under that name, so it's not completely reliable. And there's also, this isn't just Biden. I'm sorry. Yeah, this isn't just Biden. There's probably Trump fans too that's done this too. But in all seriousness, there's something up, because all of a sudden, election night, Trump was doing really good. Then all of a sudden, Biden just comes ahead by like 80 some odd electoral college votes, or however many it was.
So didn't we go over that? And it had to do with the fact that the mail-in ballots were being counted after the votes for the election day itself, and the votes on election day were mostly for Trump, right? Because Republicans went to vote on election day, and the mail-in votes were mainly for Biden because Democrats didn't trust that the elections would go well, so they wanted to vote ahead of time. But you still bring that up, so I haven't convinced you that that's what the reason is. You still think that there's a different reason, right?
Yes, I mean, there's a lot. I mean, to be fair, the math doesn't add up correctly. And I mean, in 2016, there was like a huge twist between states. There's not a lot of states that would have twisted within 4 years. That just doesn't make any sense. Mathematically,
You mean
it makes no sense. Yes, like the switch between, like Ohio will always, that's a big red state. Michigan, I believe, was red in 2016.
Yep.
Yeah, and it just doesn't add up correctly. And the same thing
What do you mean
with
it doesn't add
Florida,
up? What do you mean it doesn't add up correctly?
meaning like it doesn't make sense, like
Well, I
to the point
understand.
where
To you, it doesn't make sense because you think Trump should have won, right?
yes,
But so okay. But I mean, I understand what you're saying, except what you just mentioned about well, Ohio not, but like Michigan and Wisconsin, and also Minnesota. Those states were blue. It's called the blue wall. And in 2016, Trump managed to get more votes in those states, and it turned them red, and that's what made him win, right?
yes.
So and now they're back to blue again because those states don't think that Trump did what he promised them that he would do in those states.
Yeah, but it's the fact that it's a lot of people, like hundreds of thousands of people. There's not a lot that's going to change. There's not a lot that, like, there's not a lot of people that's going to be like, oh, I'm going to go from Republican to Democrat, or I'm going to go from Democrat to Republican. Like, that's just, that doesn't make sense.
So what do you think about that, Asher?
I think that they could change because in 4 years you can change your opinion from something to another because of what somebody's done in those 4 years.
Yeah, I agree. I don't know exactly how many people, I don't know that they actually know how many people voted, say Trump in 2016 and now vote for Biden in 2020. I don't know if they actually know that or that there's polls that have that information. But what I do know is that many more people came out to vote. Also for Trump, right? Because Trump got more votes this year than he did in 2016. Except Biden got even more votes because so many people were so upset with Trump. So many people that did not vote 4 years ago were so upset with Trump and wanted him out so badly that they now came out. Millions more than 4 years ago.
Yes.
So even though Trump got more votes, more people voted for him, even more people voted for Biden, and that's why he won.
Yes, and with that, that also, like, I even talked to my dad about it, and he was like, yeah, there's a lot, and I know this is a little biased towards it, but he even said like that, yeah, he was like, yeah, that doesn't add up correctly. Like, why is there so many people that like Biden all of a sudden, and then Trump's votes go up, but Biden's votes is like 6 million more. And I'm sure there hasn't been 6 million 18-year-olds or whoever was, let's say, 14 at the time, and now they're 18.
Yeah, no,
So
not
you're telling me there's 6 million
No.
18-year-olds that are voting for Biden?
No.
That just doesn't make any sense.
Well, that some of that happened because more young people voted than before. But the main thing is that of all the people that can vote, whether they're 18 or 30 or 55 or 75, of all the people that can vote, only about half of those people actually vote. The rest just stays home because they don't care. Now, more of those people that normally stay home and don't care actually went to vote. Some of them went to Trump, but more of those went to Biden. That's what happened, and that's why maybe you think it doesn't add up, but it's because more people went out to vote. This was what, of all the things that I don't like about Donald Trump, one of the things that I do like is that he made people aware of how important it is to vote.
And he even said, he even said, and so did Mike Pence. He even said the mail-in ballots were going to be a nightmare. They knew there was going to be stuff. So it's not like he's crying or he's throwing a fit. He knew this was going to happen. He knew this was coming. He knew this was going to be a thing. It's not like it's like all of a sudden and, oh, they're cheating. That's just...
Right. Well,
yeah.
He's crying and he's pitching a fit because the elections were 2 weeks ago and he still hasn't conceded, right? Even though the numbers are pretty astronomical in favor of Biden, including now that Michigan certified the vote tonight, right? Rush Limbaugh and your friend Tucker Carlson have both said if Giuliani has proof, he needs to come with the proof, because nobody has seen the proof of these allegations. Because you're saying there's proof, but the big problem is that there still has not been proof to the extent that it holds up in court. So all these court cases that Giuliani has started have all been thrown out. 30 at this point, I think, of the 33. You probably know better, Asher, because you're into that legal stuff, right? Don't you listen to like legal podcasts and stuff? So what are they saying in those podcasts?
Well, like with the voter fraud stuff, they're saying that like most of the cases, like the people that are trying to say it happened are being asked like, what like evidence do you have? And they're saying we don't really have it.
But Ray just came up with evidence, because his friend's grandfather is dead. Yet somebody who how did that work, Ray? Somebody voted under his name.
Somebody voted under his name. And
how do they know?
Something about like they found like a voting under it. Like they found it. Like some about his dad told him. Or something like that. He didn't go into context, but he said that his dad said that someone voted under him, even though he's dead.
Okay.
And it's not just him. There's a lot of other people too. And even in Michigan, the Republican, they wanted to go watch the polls and see what was going on, and they couldn't. They did, but they had to stay 100 feet away. You can't see within that distance.
That is repeating what you hear on YouTube. Nobody had to stand 100 feet away. That is not true. It's fake news.
Fox News said that, and Newsmax said that.
I know, but that doesn't make it any less fake information. It's wrong. It's information that has been spread by people that wanted to make a point that they didn't like the way things were going. They were actually standing 10 feet away, and there was a lawsuit because of that, and then it was made that they could stand 6 feet away. So that became 100 feet somehow or another along the lines. I don't know who started saying that, but it spread around that was a problem.
Okay.
Anyway,
okay. Well, you also must not have seen the Republican watchers looking through the windows. They had to stay back. They shut the doors. They couldn't watch what was going on. And that you can find wherever you look at your news, if it's CNN or Fox News, whatever. And you can even see they were looking at, that was a place where voting went on. And also there were people outside that were trying to promote Biden in multiple counties of Michigan and Pennsylvania. They were outside of it, and they were trying to do that, which you can't do that. They were inside, and they were trying to say, oh, go vote for Biden, when it's literally stated that you can't do that. You can do it outside of it, but not inside.
So all of this happened, and we saw some of it on TV, and I don't know how widespread it was, but my point, we talked about this last time, right? Because you and I basically, and I think Asher also doesn't necessarily agree with what you believe, which is fine, because that's how we can be in America.
Yeah.
The wonderful thing of a free country. But my point is, I always wonder about two things. One is, how is it possible that we believe such different things, even though we're seeing the same things on TV? We're seeing the same video, right? We're seeing the same people standing outside that polling place. We're seeing the same people talking about how the votes are being counted, yet we believe something completely different. And that is something that I don't understand. And I think, I don't know, Asher, do you have any idea about that? Why that is that people think so differently about what happened here?
One reason is because different people are listening to different things, so they're getting different information on what is actually happening.
So do you believe that there's different facts, different truth, or is there one truth, but the truth is being communicated in two different ways?
There is one truth, and it's being communicated in two different ways.
So if the truth is, if there's one truth and it's being communicated in two different ways, how do you know that what you're hearing is the truth and what Ray is hearing is not the truth? Maybe it's the other way around. Have you thought about that? Maybe Ray is right and you and I are wrong.
But there was video proof of them watching people. Like when he said they were 100 feet away, there's video proof that they were standing right there by the people.
Right. So Ray has seen that video also, I think. But then, Ray, why do you still think that they were standing 100 feet away?
Well, because there's multiple videos of it. I mean, and
that's
there's even evidence. I mean, yeah, you can go on right now. Look up youtube.com, 100 feet pole watchers, and it'll pop right up.
Right. So I can look up on youtube.com flat earth, and I find many videos that explain that the earth is flat, right? So let's talk about that for a minute. So Asher, where do you get your news information from? What do you listen to and what do you read or watch?
CNN is where I get the news information.
Just CNN?
And I listen to podcasts like that have judges and stuff in them.
And you, Ray, because you don't watch TV at all, I believe, right? No, do you?
No,
watch?
that is not true. I watch a lot. I watch the news occasionally.
What news do you watch?
Like
it on
in
the
the
networks
morning.
in the morning, or do you watch Fox News? What do you watch?
I watch Fox News. I watch Newsmax. I go to YouTube and watch like clips of like CBS and Fox News on there. Yeah, that's pretty much it. And I also watch the Today Show. They don't really cover it as much, but they try to be as fair as possible. Like they just try to break down the news. They're not very biased.
So how did you find out about Newsmax? How did you start watching Newsmax?
On Twitter, Trump and a bunch of like the Trump campaign, they were like, Fox News with the House, they said that the House of Representatives had 17 open seats, or Republicans needed 17 seats when that wasn't true. They needed actually 7 seats, and the same with the Democrats. They needed like, I forgot how many seats it was, and it was different. So yeah, they're not as accurate.
Fox News is not as accurate?
Yes, but I don't really go on Fox News as much anymore for that because of that reason, because I don't want to be lied to anymore.
So instead you go to Newsmax because they are telling you the truth?
Yes, and also it's like conservative based and Republican, which is why I like to listen to Newsmax.
Because you think of yourself as a conservative?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
For multiple reasons.
What do you consider yourself, Asher?
A liberal?
So what do you? What is the biggest difference between a conservative and a liberal? It's a good question, right?
I'll give you one thing.
Go ahead.
We believe that. Is it fine if I say what we think is right and what?
Sure.
So we think that. We think that things that Democrats say aren't as correct. Same with Democrats, they don't think that what we're saying is right. But multiple things, like we believe that we should take it by the Constitution, which is what I think Democrats are trying to get away from. For multiple reasons.
How are Democrats trying to get away from that?
Well, the Second Amendment, which says we are allowed to bear arms, and Obama even said that guns are hurting America and that we need to ban guns. He said it. I want to say it was in 2012, right in the middle of his second presidency. He said. He wished that those kids that got shot from school shootings were alive still. And I think the same thing. But we are allowed to bear arms from the Constitution. Our founding fathers even said that we should take it by the Constitution, which is why we live in America to this day.
Okay. So that's one example. So what is an example of being a liberal, Asher?
Like we support like fixing climate change and government regulating businesses and guns. And he didn't say like ban all guns. He was saying ban assault rifles.
Assault weapons, yes. Right, but saying something like that as a Democrat, oftentimes, on the other side becomes they're coming to take your guns away. But you're right, Obama was in favor of banning assault weapons. So was Bill Clinton, actually, and there was in the 90s actually an assault weapon ban, right? That was valid for, I think it was 10 years, and it expired in, I think, 2004, under then George W. Bush. He let it expire. But why is it that, what I'm curious about, Ray, is why when we talk about the Constitution, the first thing that conservatives will bring up is the Second Amendment. Mm-hmm. Like that is the most important thing that there is in life.
Yes.
To me, it's much more important to live with happiness and in health, to where I can go to a doctor without going bankrupt, or that I can say what I want and write what I want. Freedom of speech, the First Amendment, for example.
Okay, so I have a question for you. If someone comes into your house, how are you going to defend yourself?
I'm going to call 911.
Okay. Let's say you do call 911 and he catches you.
Who catches me?
The robber or the intruder or whoever wants to come hurt someone.
I'm 57 and I have never had anybody in my house coming to rob me or hurt me. So
knock on wood.
I don't see a reason to think about that. Just like, I could be struck by lightning tomorrow. But I'm European, so that's a whole other conversation, because Europeans are against all forms of weapons, whether it's pistols or rifles or guns. That's just all bad stuff.
Wait, but when I went into Holland, there was a gun shop there.
No. Guns are illegal in Holland. There's no way that you saw a gun shop there. Nope.
Oh, okay.
Recently,
I saw it somewhere else.
Recently, a law was passed that you're not even allowed to buy or sell or wear knives out on the street.
Wow.
We don't like guns. We don't like knives. And if a burglar comes into your house, you just walk out the back door and you call 911. So that's a different situation. But I understand that you can have guns for like sports or self-defense. That's also fine. I don't understand what anybody needs to do with an AR-15, because that is not self-defense. That is just to go to battle with in war on the battlefield. Nobody needs to have an AR-15 in their house. But anyway, that's AR-15. How about you, Asher? Do you believe in the Second Amendment?
Yes, but gun control just needs to be more protected, and not everybody should just be allowed to go and get a gun whenever they want.
Do you have, what is it called again? Active shooter exercises in school? Well, you don't go to school right now, but when you were going to school, did you guys have active shooter exercises?
Yes.
You, Ray?
Yes, we did. Yes, sir.
You know that you're living in the only country in the world that has active shooter exercises for children, right? That's the only country in the world that has that.
We are also the only country in the world that has as many asylums as most in the world.
So why do you not think that there is a gun problem in this country if you have to have children have active shooter exercises?
Well, it's not just I'm sure there's other countries too.
No, America's the only country that has the problem of school shootings in the first place. Active
Okay.
shooter exercises also.
Okay. On that note, if you're trying to come into a school and start shooting people, you are crazy. It's not the fact guns don't kill people. It's the person that kills people. It's not like a gun automatically just goes off.
But if the
It's
person wouldn't have the gun, they wouldn't be able to kill people, would they?
well, yes, but if the gun didn't have a person, then the gun wouldn't go off.
Right. So you just need to separate the gun and the person, and the problem is solved.
Well, no, you need to not give someone that has mental issues a weapon.
Well, but you just said that there was a Second Amendment. People can have weapons. So now you're going to say that certain people should not have weapons.
Well, yes, but I'm not going to give someone with autism a weapon. I mean, for like just a free handle. You know what I'm saying?
But how does a gun shop owner know that somebody has autism that walks into their shop?
Because that you have to have like a legal guardian to go places. Not all mental like issues and mental health you have to, but most you do, like with autism. Like I know like kids with autism, and there's certain things that they can't do. So we'll have to take a test or something before we have to buy guns, because yes, there is a problem with guns, but we shouldn't take them all away.
Right. I don't think anybody has ever said that we should take all guns away. Nobody has ever said that. I mean, you think that maybe when you do a YouTube search, you'll find somebody saying that the Democrats want to do that, but that is not true. So that, you would have to look at the website of Joe Biden and look at his political topics on gun control to see what he says about gun control, not rely on a video on YouTube of somebody saying Biden wants to ban all guns, because that's not reliable.
Well, he has YouTube links on his website. You can go to it right now.
Right.
Go to Biden.com.
But I'm pretty sure, I haven't looked, but I'm pretty sure that on his website there will be a topic somewhere about gun control, talking about the banning of assault weapons and sensible gun control, where maybe even you cannot pull the trigger if the gun isn't yours, that sort of thing. But that is something that, the NRA has been able to block from happening so far. There's also life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, right? So why do we not have universal health care for everybody? Because that sure would contribute to happiness and the ability to pursue happiness, right? Because
that's what the American Red Cross is for. If that's what you're talking about.
No, I'm talking about me having to pay a fortune for healthcare.
Okay.
Or people not being able to get insurance because they have a pre-existing condition or something like that. When I lived in Holland, I never had to think about what it cost to go to the doctor. I would just go to the doctor. Hi, I'm Hans. My knee hurts. The doctor would check my knee, send me to a specialist or something like that. I would go to the specialist and go back home, and that's it. There was never a bill. There was never there was an insurance card, but there was never a bill. There was never paperwork. Nothing.
Mm-hmm.
So here you have to, worry about copay and whether your insurance covers it, and if you have more than 5 visits, then it's a problem, and your medication is expensive, and all of that sort of thing. And people actually can lose their house from the cost that they have to stay healthy.
Mm-hmm.
That to me is a much, much bigger problem than, say, gun control.
Yeah, well, there's also, there's so many, we have to, hospitals already are filling up, even due to COVID. There's a lot of things that doctors have to do and that they have to go through. That's a lot of responsibility on their hands. And with the healthcare, you have insurance off, you have money off from what you're actually paying. That's what insurance is for.
But not everybody has insurance, right?
Well, yes, but that's someone's choice to have insurance.
No, it's not always anybody. I agree that some people choose to not have insurance because they don't want to pay. There's many, many more people that cannot get insurance because of the rules that we currently have. For example, if you, let's say when I came to this country, right, from the Netherlands in 1999, I was 36. If I would have had, you know, some sort of problem with my health, be it, let's not say cancer, because that's a very extreme example, but some issue with my lungs or some issue with my heart, and I came to this country, I would have not been able to get health insurance because insurance companies will not insure somebody who has a pre-existing condition. So it's not true that it's always by choice that people don't have insurance. And on top of that, you have to pay for insurance, right? Every month you have to pay a premium. If you work at McDonald's and you know you're a single parent and you have and you have a child at home to feed, you probably don't have the money to pay that insurance premium. So then you also don't have a choice, or unless you don't want to feed your kid. But that's, you know, a choice parents don't make. So it's not as easy as you think as far as getting that insurance.
Well, you also have to apply yourself. You can't just be lazy. You have to apply yourself. You can't just sit here and have everyone else, like if you're unemployed and you're making, let's say, I don't know, let's say $150 a month. Let's just say that, just for instance. You have to apply yourself. You can't just, like, if you're working at McDonald's, you can go to college. You have to save up to be able to go to college so you can actually get a job where you make good money to where you can pay for insurance and a good health care. So
how much money do you have?
me?
Yeah.
I don't know. I probably have some, like, savings wise, but because don't
How
you
much?
have some for me? for
$100?
savings?
$200?
I don't know how much money I have.
Well, I mean, is it less than $10,000?
Yes, it is.
So which college do you think you're going to go to?
Well, I don't know. I'm 13, almost 14. At the time when I'm in high school, I should probably start thinking about that.
Right.
But also, again, that's someone's choice to go to college. But in college, you can get a degree to be a doctor or like, let's say you work with, like, guns or you work with computers. You have to physically apply yourself. You can't just have you can't just have doctors doing everything for you and then have, like, low expense healthcare. You have to apply yourself. You can't just go around and, like, oh, I got hurt, I'm gonna go to the doctor and get it for free, without insurance. You have to have certain things, like go to college and get a degree. You have to apply yourself.
Oh,
That
can I
doesn't-
say something?
Yep.
Some people don't have enough money to go to college in the first place.
Well, also, that's what high school is for. You can get a scholarship to go to a college. You have to apply yourself in your, let's say, in high school or elementary school. Now, yes, there's some people out there that don't go to college or can't afford college. But also, you can get a scholarship in high school. Even if you dropped out of high school, you can go back and go through it again. And if you do well, you can get a scholarship and go to college where you don't have to pay. There's a lot of other things that you can do.
Well, I mean, Grant, I agree with you that if you go to school and you go to college, and if you can, because I agree with Asher, not everybody can, then, you know, you probably will get a better job. You will make some more money, and you'll be able to afford insurance. My point is, it shouldn't matter whether you have a good job or whether you make some money or whether you work at McDonald's or, you know, you're disabled and you don't make any money at all. You should be able to go to the doctor regardless, because it's a right. It shouldn't be a privilege, healthcare. And right now it's a privilege. And to me, it seems that the Republicans or conservatives, whatever you want to call it, appear to want to keep it that way. And, you know, Democrats or liberals, whatever you want to call them, are trying to figure out a way to give everybody access to that insurance. And I like that. I like that a lot better.
Well, yes, again, you have to apply yourself.
Me and you, right, are kids. We should be able to have insurance even if our parents can't afford it, because we're not able to get the money to afford it. So we couldn't pay for ourselves. And like me, I had to have back surgery this summer because of my scoliosis. If my mom wasn't able to afford insurance for me, I wouldn't have been able to have that. But I should have been able to have that even if my mom couldn't afford insurance for me.
Well, yes.
That. And Lord knows Asher applies himself, so that's not the problem. I mean, he doesn't get paid for it, but that's just because Uncle Keith and his mom don't pay him enough. No, I'm joking, but I mean,
My parents do. I'm just saying my parents do too.
Your parents do what?
They don't. They say you have a house under your head, you have a roof over your head, and you have clothes on your back, and you have food on your plate. You don't need to get paid, and I agree with it.
But my whole point was that when you talk to a conservative, this is why these conversations are interesting. When you talk about a conservative and you ask about, you know, what is so great about America, you actually brought up one of the first things that conservatives will bring up, which is the Second Amendment. Right.
Freedom.
And at the same time, you know, they have toothaches and don't have the money to go to the dentist. But they can carry a gun. So that's great. Whereas on the other side, you have what Asher was saying, for example, who says, you know, the system should be such that if I need a back surgery, even though I'm not making money yet, I should be able to get it, even if my parents cannot afford it or don't have that much money. So that's the best, probably the best example of the difference between, you know, conservatives and liberals or Democrats, and how they look different at how life should be. You like to sit at home with your gun in your hand, and Asher would like to have his back surgery.
I want to self-defend myself. I don't want to.
From what? From against what? Your sister?
Well, it's also the law that whoever hits first has assaulted you. You have the right to self-defend yourself. You can pick up a gun, and if someone's inside your house, you have the right to shoot them.
I will never.
That is their
I will
right.
never take somebody else's life. Only God can do that.
If someone's trying to hurt me or my family, I will rightfully so do that, because something like that is, I mean, if they're trying to come into my house and hurt Layla or my mom or my dad is going to do something. He's obviously going to pick up a gun and shoot them. That is, and I mean, even God himself, he says you can't murder, but you can self-defend.
Where does God
even
say
in
that?
war, he says you can't murder, meaning you can't just go off murdering people. That's a sin. But also, you can, like in war, back in like Roman times, they even had war. So you can self-defend yourself. I mean, you're not just going to stand there with a gun and just sit there in war. I mean, you have to physically do something about that. You can't just sit. You can't just stand there with something and not have something to self-defend yourself. Because if someone else has a weapon, they're going to try and hurt you so that they can get what you have.
I mean, I'm not biblical, so I don't know anything about it, but I also don't know where it says in the Bible that you can defend yourself, to be honest with you. But
Yeah, in the Bible it says, "Thou shalt not kill."
right.
Yes, thou shalt not kill, but also, if you've heard the story of Jesus dying on the cross, Pilate told his soldiers to go kill Jesus because they thought he was not the Messiah. So they had to do something, and also people in those sort of times had to start killing each other because they have certain beliefs that they have, and if they're trying to hurt someone, they're rightfully so allowed to defend themselves. So it's not a fact that if you murder in war, then you're a sinner. We're all sinners. And that's what Jesus wants you to do.
You know, I can't talk to that because I'm not a believer, so I don't know. You know, I'm not a practicing Christian, as you know.
Yes.
So I don't know. So I'm, you know, I know that people also believe very different things that are calling themselves Christian, right? Everybody has their own, well, not everybody, but a lot of people have their own interpretation of the Bible and what it means and how to live by it and all of that.
I would just like to say there's a Bible verse. It's Romans 12:19. It says, "Beloved, never avenge yourselves, but leave it to the wrath of God, for it is written, vengeance is mine, I will repay, says the Lord." So that's
So
just
that's
saying.
so to me, I interpret that leave it to the wrath of God means exactly what I was saying before. It's not up to
Meaning
me.
God.
It's not up to me to take a life. I leave it up to the wrath of God.
Well, no, because if you have a job to, let's say you're a soldier and you have to kill, for, like, let's say, because
For a
that's
living.
what,
Right.
yeah, for a living.
But that's
yes,
different.
and there's even soldiers that are Christians,
That's different.
and they'll even say, yeah, it is fine. It's fine if you self-defend yourself.
Well,
but
I don't think in war it's necessarily considered self-defense, right? A soldier on the battlefield is not necessarily considered to be defending himself. I'm
yeah,
talking
they're
about
defending
a
their
situation-
country. They're self-defending
Right.
their country.
I'm talking about in my house. Somebody walks into my house. Do I have the right to kill that person? I don't believe I do. But I know that there's laws and beliefs in America that you can do that. I just don't believe in them. So I would never kill an intruder.
Okay. And I can respect. I respect you for that. I'm not going to say you're wrong. You can believe in what you want to.
Thank
That's
you.
That's the freedom of America.
Yes.
And again, that's not my choice. That is America's choice. They have a freedom to say what they want. They can have whatever religious belief that they want to. They can be a Buddhist. They can be Christian. They can be Jew. They can be whatever they want to. So that's how I interpret that. You don't have. You can go around. And you can, if someone tries to kill you, then you don't have to shoot back at them. But if they're trying to hurt your family, you have to do so. You can't just take that, and they have a gun and they're saying, move and I will shoot your family or I will kill your family.
Well, we shouldn't go over that again because we already did. I want to know what Asher has to say as a parting message. Who won the election? That's what we started to ask. You still believe it's Biden, or did Ray convince you?
Yes, I still
Trump?
believe it's
Oh, okay.
Biden.
And Ray, do you still believe it's Trump, or did we convince you
Yeah.
that it's Biden who won?
No, I still think it's Trump.
So it's all unfair, and Biden is not a legitimate president. Is that what you're saying?
No, and no. I'm just gonna say that now. No.
Well,
You can believe in what you want to. I'm not going to make fun of you for it. You can believe in what you want to, and I'm not going to go off on you for it. Now, you can say, you're a Christian, you're a horrible person. I'm not going to care.
but in 4 years' time, well, almost, right? I mean, you guys are not going to be 18 yet in 4 years. So
Sadly, no.
So Biden will be president for 8 years, and then the next time you can vote.
No, he won't. No, he won't. No, he won't.
All right. Well, this was enjoyable. But do you want to do this again? Should we do it again sometime with something else, another topic? Sounds like fun, right?
Yes, please.
That's
Yes.
And this time, and I'll let Asher talk a lot more because I've been.
Well, so
talking a
next
lot.
time we're going to pick a topic that Asher wants to talk about. All right.
Cool. I'm fine with that.
I love you guys. This was fun.
Love you too.
Talk to you later.
All right. Bye bye.
Bye.
Bye.